Friends, neighbors, countrymen, let's start the show.
The Tom Kelly Show. Everybody, I want you to go to the Tom Kelly Show. I want you all to know about the Tom Kelly Show.
Trigger warning, spoiler alert, Snapchat your booty calls. You're listening to a bonus episode of the Tom Kelly Show. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll know why. I'm in the suit, though. It's funny how you go from I'm performing in public to I'm now podcasting from home. I'm in a nice sports coat. I'm in a tie that I have not worn since way before March of 2020. I'm wearing sexy jeans and I'm wearing shoes because my sister-in-law, who gave me my favorite pair of sneakers, said, you can't wear sneakers with a suit. That's something old men do. In fact, let's do an Instagram poll right now. Can men wear sneakers with suits? I think it's trendy. I've been told it's not. So what do I know? I don't know, but there were a few other people who agreed with my sister-in-law. So guess what, Cinderella? I took off that sneaker and I'm wearing glass slippers. So lots to talk about. I'm not even going to get into the wheres I was working. If you want to, you know where I've been, people. And it's not a permanent experience. It's and that's weird. It's like being able, like, it's, you know what's funny about where, so like, listen, I'll tell you where I've been. I've been subbing in at the Colbert Show and for the warm up, not for Stephen Colbert. How funny would that be if half of you people just went, oh my God, Tom? And that happens sometimes. Actually, that happens sometimes. Like I used to say, I was filling in for Gelman at Live with Kelly and whoever she was with that day. People would say, congratulations, Tom, you're the sidekick. And I'm like, no, I meant Gelman does the warm up. So anyway, I'm subbing in for a great comedian at the Colbert Show. Funny guy, nice guy, a New York City legend. Without getting too into it, I know I'm the guest. I know I'm not there. It's not forever. And that's going to be a little bit of the theme of the show. And it's managing expectations. Yeah, I don't know if that's a strong enough title to get you people to listen to it. I've noticed the stronger titles, you guys have listened more. Like I like for an episode 2 or 3 episodes ago, I put forced into a confessional, and one person wrote me a note thinking I was taken advantage of by a priest. And I wasn't taken advantage of. He was just a gruff man who tricked me into doing confession. Not as bad as anything you saw in the movie Spotlight. Okay, there you go. Back to me. So Tom Kelly in a good mood, subbing in at Colbert. And yeah, I decided to, put together an outfit, and that's the nice thing about this particular show is I'm only really there for 20 minutes. So I can wear something nice. And by the time I'm sick of wearing something nice, I can take it off. And I'm wearing a vintage Christian Dior tie that I got at the thrift store. It's so vintage that it's decomposing as I wear it. I don't know if it has one more wear in it after this. I think it does, but it's a really cool tie. And I was going somewhere with this. Managing your expectations. So kind of like my prom date. I know that I'm not hooking up with this one. So my prom date was a woman named Ann Siegert. She was my friend Allison Kennedy's cousin. And for those of you, and it's funny, when you do a retrospective on Tom Kelly's life, not being able to get laid has been my shtick for almost 30 years now, friends. And not only is it my shtick, but it actually, in many cases at times, was an actual fact. I don't know. Actually, I know who I wanted to take to the prom, and I don't want her to. By my senior year of high school, I had pretty much asked everybody out. It wasn't just, the cheerleaders and prom queens and whatnot. I asked out some women who very, very squarely, it was mind-blowing to be shot down. And I basically worked my way up the ladder to the women who you would have considered the prettiest girl or two in school. And That particular girl went to the prom with somebody else, blah, blah, blah. So I turned not being able to find a prom date into a comedy bit. I used to print out little top 10 signs. Like I would do like Letterman-y top 10 lists. And I would sometimes just write them out and just hang them up and print them out. I would print them out and hang them up all over the high school. And my friend Allison Kennedy, and I remember Danielle Anastasia was in on this, another dear friend. And they both call me up and they say, Tom, we have a great prom date for you, but you have to promise you're not going to fall in love with her. And it was Ann Siegert, Allison Kennedy's cousin, and she is gorgeous and she was smart. She went to a smart girl school. I did fall in love, but never truly could express it because I had signed a DNFIL, do not fall in love contract, made that one up just on the spot, people. And that's how I feel with this one. You know what? Don't fall in love. Just enjoy the prom. And by the way, just like with my prom, I was the prom king. Wow. Amazing, huh? Tom Kelly, prom king. It was not I deserved to be the prom king, to be fair. I showed up this prom with a gorgeous woman in a beautiful dress, and I was wearing a top hat and cane. And the prom king and queen was decided by the waiters and waitresses at the venue, which was the Queen's Museum of Science. It was near wherever the World's Fair was. I believe it's the Queen's Hall of Science. And anyway, for a minute now, I get to be prom king. They announced that first. And I look at the girl who I wanted to ask, and she was beautiful. And she had long hair and a scarf. And I'm like, I'm going to be able to dance with the very woman who I wanted to take to the prom. And then they say the name of the prom queen. And it was a girl, Katie Alpert, who was at the time my high school, I don't want to say nemesis, but ball buster. Good kid, became valedictorian, but it got into a weird thing of where I felt for years she kind of acted like she was better than me. And then when I was kind of coming out of my shell, she was there to try to push me back into it a couple of times. And I had gotten kicked off the high school newspaper. And for a whole other story, that's actually hilarious and probably its own 20-minute episode for another time. But I was shattered by that, getting kicked off the high school newspaper, shattered. And I now see the girl who I thought would be prom queen and I could get some pictures with. And she goes back to her date. And then I turn my attention to Katie Alpert, who says, "You just might make it into the newspaper yet, Tom." Grr. But I had a great time. And it's funny, that prom night, God, I may have to dig to see if I have that picture in my photo library, because that'll make a better picture than I had planned to use for the show art. But we went, actually, I know where to find it, but it's going to look awful. But everybody in the limo, we went to New York City afterwards, and we went to the Copacabana, which is at 53rd and 8th. And I had made everybody in my limo stop outside the Ed Sullivan Theater. And I took a picture by myself in front of the Ed Sullivan Theater marquee. And that was when it was just newly the Late Show with David Letterman. So I didn't mean to turn this into a full circle story, but yeah, that's the wisdom, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes a great night out is just a great night out, and you have to just shut up and enjoy it. Actually, I mean, and it's funny, that was also my New York Post horoscope today. Again, my friend Greg, who is a professional astrologist, who has been on the show before and has blatantly said he will not be on the show again. He turned me on to the New York Post horoscope. And again, if you read it, it's this: your main problem And this is for Gemini. You read it for Gemini, you have this. Your main problem at the moment appears to be wishful thinking. So resolve to be ruthlessly honest with yourself about what is and not possible. If you refuse to face up to reality today, it could cost you dear by the end of the week. And my expectations in life are pretty damn sane right now. What are Tom Kelly's expectations, you ask? Glad you asked, America. I expect to have a great day at work today, which I did. Have a great day at work tomorrow. And then just in time for me to end my self-isolating because I don't want to fail a COVID test this week. It's going to be 20 degrees out, so I'll probably self-isolate now this weekend just because I don't want to freeze my ass off. So, and I got some great things out of just working this week. One, I kind of shocked myself out of a rut. This is the Tom Kelly Show, the home of self-depression and borderline suicide. No, that's not what we want it to be, but sometimes I feel like that's what I'm doing for you guys. So I learned a few things. One, I liked the routine of work in there because I would wake up early, get my COVID test at 9. And then that's the one thing I miss about Tamron Hall and doing the virtual audiences with the Tamron Hall show. I miss the work. I miss the people. I actually do miss the work, but I don't miss the work. I do miss the structure and routine 3 days a week most. I feel like that's sad to say, but I would go back in a second. But I felt I liked the routine. I would wake up, I would go to this very spot and entertain 30 to 60 people, whoever showed up. And there was like a structure. I would wake up, I'd listen to the Elvis Duran show. I'd make myself a healthy breakfast. I'd do some stretching, and here's what I kind of forgot. And after years of working in morning television, and then another 2 years of COVID-19 isolation, I kind of forgot that the gym is open before noon. People, it's not just morning walks and bike rides. I can go to the gym again. And I did this week. I went to 2 yoga classes and they were awful. I will never do them again, but I tried something new and I hated it. So there's your self-help and growth moment. Other self-help and growth moment. And you could probably, if you're watching on YouTube, folks, I am gorgeous. I keep playing with the tie, but I am kind of hot right now. Had you talked to me 24 hours ago, I felt very unattractive. I've been letting my hair grow longer and there were curls that were just sticking out and I just looked disheveled yesterday. And I actually made an appointment with Greg Gianello, my hair guy, to give me a cleanup way before I needed it. And then today I woke up, I did the yoga, I went to the gym, came back to the apartment, showered, and I put in a lot more product than I usually do. And folks, I do me. Actually, I generally do me. I don't know if that's the mark. Is that joke worthy of me marking this episode explicit? Oh, there's so much I want to say. See, I was thinking of talking about, as I speed through and I'm realizing we're getting towards the end of my allotted time. I was thinking about talking, I don't know why I'm asking. Here's the funny thing about being a warm-up comedian and my nature of comedy. I would sometimes ask the crowd, you guys want me to talk about inflation, how people get news, or stuff I found in the trash? And people would clap for each thing. That is the challenge of me doing the show alone. When we talk about my moment of growth for today's show is I have 3 choices and nobody to make them for me. So I'm going with first news. I'm going to try to do something edgy and see if I can get some people who hate me on YouTube or the podcast apps to comment. And here's what I'm going to say to you people. Where the hell are you all getting your news? I'm late to this. I've been hearing people complain about this for a while, but I have a good friend who I think is one of those smart guys who does his own research. He does it on the weather, and he is spot on for weather reports between the Seaford Oyster Bay Expressway and Route 110 on the South Shore of Long Island. That said, there's a big fight on Long Island about unmasking our children. And folks, I have given up. I think I'm up to 400 grand of income. The original count was 250. And I think that was really only 1 year of lost money. I'm up to about 350 to 400 grand of lost income that may never come back. And folks, I took my hit for the team. And again, here's my politics. I don't know if vaccines are the cure for this thing. I don't know if masks are the cure for this thing. And quite frankly, I'm leaning towards probably not. But honest to God, covering your germ, if you're in a room full of people breathing, germs spread. And at this point, you know what I'm sick of more than the masks? The whining. The whining is what I'm sick of. So for 12 hours, they overturned the state mandate in schools for wearing masks. Whatever your opinion is on it, I don't care, because I don't know if I even have one, because I may even agree with the people I'm about to disagree with. What I disagree with is I have a friend who posted a screen cap from the lawyer who sued over this, and they were passing that off as news. And I'm like, that is not news. That's a tweet from the guy who wanted it. And the man misspelled education. We're sharing news and we're sharing news about education and we can't even spell education. People, and then I can't, this is my problem in life. I can't walk away from things that bother me. And I need to learn how to do this, people. I need to learn how to walk away. And if you have tips for walking away, just send me a tweet about that. Though I feel like anybody who has good advice on walking away has already walked away from this episode. But I went into the Facebook comment war and they're like, hey, you're going to have to walk away with your tail between your legs on this one, Tom, because we won. And I'm like, this is going to get overturned in 24 hours. And I was wrong. It was overturned in like 12. And I don't want to argue about it. My argument is you cannot get your news from Instagram. You can not get your news from me. And I'm smart. I went to a decent college. I actually have worked in journalism. Don't get your news from me. You need it from a major network. Now, listen, CNN, know where you're getting your news from. I don't think CNN is really a news network anymore. It's a talk show network. Fox News, also a talk show network. MSNBC, way down the road, is a talk show network. So where do you get your news? Old-fashioned ABC, CBS, and NBC, 6:30 to 7. Boom. They don't have time to have opinions jammed in. Your primetime newscasts are the best one. Morning news, listen, I'm biased. I worked at Good Morning America, but I think 7 to 8 on Good Morning America is their hard news podcast, their hard news broadcast. But I'm jaded. Not jaded. I'm biased. So there you go. Know who the fudge you're getting your news from. Gee, maybe you shouldn't be getting opinions on ABC News from a guy who used to get a paycheck from ABC News. Boom, mind blown. I still like 1010 wins, AM radio in New York, 1010 wins, all news, all the time. They give you the facts, they get the F out. And you have to know who's giving you your news. You always should have. The New York Times, they give you the facts, but I keep threatening to cancel. I'm not, they do have a leftist sort of agenda, but they do get the facts out. They are old-fashioned journalism in that regard. I could ramble, but folks, for the love of God, do not get your news from memes. I may cut that whole topic out. And this is why I do this only 3 days a week. New podcast on Monday. I'm trying to book some not big guests. I'm trying to book some fun guests for the next couple of days. And you guys, as always, thank you for sharing in this wacky experience. And I hope you guys have a great weekend and be careful in the cold weather if you're in the Northeast. So until then, good night, New York.